Quiet on the set. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. I'm Dear Myrtle, your friend in genealogy. Welcome to Mondays with Myrt, where we talk about anything and everything that's come across our genia desks in the last week. I have as my special guest today our friend in Ireland, Tony Proctor, and I'm going to actually show you how to download his SVG family tree generator so that you can insert some pretty cool things into your blog. We've demoed it, but I'm as far as what it looks like on the front end, but I'm going to show you how to download it because it's a little different than you think. Our gal in Wales, Hillary, is here, and she's on standby to help demo if necessary because old Myrt's computer updated. And I've got, out of these 3 monitors, only one working. And I've rebooted and I have to figure out what the heck's going on. So I'm down to 1 monitor, guys. Yeah, thanks, Hillary, for offering. I appreciate it. John, we're so glad that your wife Lorna's back home. And this is what Facebook is all about to me. We're going to find out something about how a VP of Facebook thinks it's ruining society, but I don't because of Facebook. I know John. Because of Hangouts, I know John, and we're a Genia community because of it. Looks like Santa Claus has arrived in the form of Randy Seaver. He's in California, so we've got Hillary in Wales, John in Scotland, not in Edinburgh. And of course, then we've got our New England guy, my very real cousin, Dave Robeson. I haven't called you David Robeson in a long time.
And that's okay. That's
I
okay.
know. I know. I'm terrible. And of course, we have my also very real cousin Russ. I think that we go back farther. Well, I guess we're all children of Adam and Eve, but cousin Russ, I think that our proved ancestor is farther back on the tree than it is for me and Dave. Not sure about that. I've got a lightning round bunch of stuff to do. Oh. Okay, scam. Well, we are going to talk about internet security. So
This just got posted by Valerie. Do you want to talk about it now or later?
in a few minutes. In a few minutes. Okay, I want to talk to you and actually do a quick little thing. My neighbor, as you know, Maria and I are the family history consultants in our LDS congregation. And luckily, we also have people in our neighborhood that come visit anyway when we have family history night that don't happen to be members of the LDS church. Because, yeah, Mormons are crazy for genealogy, but so are the rest of us. So I want to share with you a couple of little things that we did and are doing. Maria came up with a theme for December called Invite Your Ancestors for Christmas. Of course, LDS folks are Christians, and I realize that among our friends we have Muslims and Jewish people and people from all different religious persuasions, some agnostic, etc., atheists. But I wanted to show you this cute little Christmas ornament. Now, it's really hard to see because of the glare, but in bringing home our ancestors, inviting them for Christmas, we use this vellum paper that you can kind of see through. It looks like regular paper on the camera. This is white. It comes kind of in different light blues and maybe a very pale yellow that could be like parchment. And what I've done, if you could see it, is I took a picture of my father, the last meeting he had with his brother, my real Uncle Jack, and his sister, Aunt Beverly. And I took that photo, put their name underneath it, and printed it on the vellum paper. And it looks really pretty hanging on the little Christmas tree in the front hall. Speaking of the use of vellum, you've heard of these glass blocks here. I don't know if they do this over in the UK anywhere or Ireland. But the gals that are really crafty get these special kind of glass blocks. I have another one here, the oblong kind, and it has a little opening where you can insert a battery-operated string of lights. And it sounds kind of silly, but I mean, at Christmas you get to be childlike and silly. I don't know about Hanukkah. Well, that's pretty fun, the Festival of Lights, when you think about it from a child's point of view. Anyway, I made this glass block using the same vellum. That's a picture of my real Grandma Myrtle and Grandpa Shirley Player. Put their name underneath it. Attached it. I think I used double stick tape, which is okay. Might use a dot of glue in each corner. Just added a little embellishment. And then when you turn on the lights, it looks kind of different and festive. So much for that, Cousin Russ. That's the crafty part of today, yes. We're going to do technical parts of today, too. Everything's falling. Couple other things to tell you. I got my program guide for the upcoming National Genealogical Society conference. It's going to be held the 2nd through the 5th of May in 2018 in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So we're going to be up there seeing that car guy.
Roger.
I know. Remember Car Talk, guys? I hear that they have reruns on NPR radio. Yeah. All right. A couple other things to tell you in this lightning round, and then we'll get back to what's happening. All right. Cousin Russ, if you take, I'm going to do the picture-in-picture for a second to share my screen. Close your eyes, everybody. It'll hurt. The problem with one screen is sometimes you get picture-in-picture.
That's good. That's good.
Oh, you can see. You can see it? Okay. So yeah. I was playing with the grandkids yesterday, Russ. I don't know if you know what a Hello Kitty is. Did your daughters use like Hello Kitty?
Are you sure you want Roots Magic up?
I don't have Roots Magic
yes,
up.
Yes, you do. That's what's on my screen.
Wonderful.
Alt tab.
Okay. Well,
I see it on the left-hand side, far left-hand side of the screen, just the edge of the screen. If you drag it over, it'll be on top.
All right, let's see. But I'm going to have a heck of a time today if I can't.
There you go. Drag it up to the right.
Yeah, but I can't.
You're doing it. There you go. There you go.
Yeah, but then I can never control it.
You're there.
Okay. That's interesting. So I don't have a view on my right monitor, but you can see my right monitor.
Yep.
Okay.
Move your mouse. Move your mouse away from your name. There you go. Perfect.
Okay, because it was all right. So the pancake bot actually works, guys. There's a video on my YouTube, or well, not on my YouTube, on my Facebook page, and it actually draws out. Instead of inkjet, it's a pancake batter jet printer. This is going to be really freaky to try to do this.
If you look at my screen, you see what I'm seeing from you.
I hear you. I believe, I trust you. I can actually see it on my screen, but I can't very well change tabs. Remember I said, oh, dang. I gotta figure out how to do this, Cousin Russ. These are the downloadable graphics from the library at pancakebot.com. I know it's really important compared to some of the other stuff we do, but I really honestly think it's a matter of being able to play with our children. In fact,
that's 3D pancake making? Is that what that is?
Yeah, what it does is it goes first. Oh, that's just wonderful that you guys can see my third monitor and I cannot. I have to be sure when I bring this over to leave a little bit on my main monitor so I can drag it. Yeah, it's 3D. The first pass, it's a matter of, let me pull this here. The very first pass, oh, Russ, pray for me, guys. The first pass, it does what ends up being the darker tan color. And at first you're thinking that doesn't look at all like Hello Kitty. And then it goes the part where it says pancake bot retreats and pauses to give the part a chance to cook and get darker brown, and then it comes in and fills in the blanks. So that's what a pancake bot is. It's a silly thing, but the grandkids loved it.
And Randy says we really need a genealogy bot for our grandkids.
Well, I think Randy asked me if I would do a picture of an ancestor, and you can design your own. So it's kind of a peculiar thing. Okay, I mentioned doing stuff with your family. I mean, that's what we're talking about. Now, I want to talk about presentism versus being present when somebody's visiting. What's presentism? Anybody on the panel got remember that phrase as we apply it in genealogy? It's putting 21st century thinking on our ancestors' life and times. Sorry about this. Wow. And that's different from being present when we've got our iPhones, and our Droid, and we can take videos and pictures. Have you noticed if you're busy taking videos or pictures, you're not in the conversation? Talk to me about that. You've got a little one, Hillary, not that little. They're all growing up, but have you noticed if you're too busy taking pictures, you're not part of the event?
Oh yeah. You it's very difficult to be trying to do two things at once. Something goes, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Totally. And we really need to be present. What were you going to share with the community, from the community, Russ?
Well,
you could turn off your picture-in-picture if you like. There. Go ahead.
There's a comment from a new person. Oh, look, I love the glass block idea. Going to make one for my mother for Christmas. And I already voiced this one where Randy says we really need a genealogy bot. And John Laws can say for himself, but he said in the community, I'm very 19th century.
Yeah, I'm like 19th century, but with indoor plumbing. That's how I think. All right, have I shared my screen? I guess I got to move the camera. Let me show you what I put on the docket for today to discuss. Here is the former Facebook executive who says social media is ripping apart society. I disagree. Depends on how you use it. Would you share that link? Thank you, Cousin Russ. Another thing I wanted to bring to your attention. This is a blog that I follow. A lot of times she shows, let's see, I want to block it right now. A lot of times she's advertising, and she's showing, you see a lot of pop-up advertising. This is going to tie in with our internet security discussion. But there's actually some good content here. Let me close this X. She gets a click for that, for having come to her site, and then click in advertising because of that pop-up. But she's a play therapist. Her blog is Your Modern Family. And she's talking about there's a difference between just observing children, and I think grandparents are good at understanding this, because we're not busy earning a living, stuff like that. Playing with the grandchildren or the children is actually reading to them, as opposed to watching them reading while we're on our we're playing Words with Friends, one of my favorite little games. Actually getting on the floor. Okay, my grandkids know I can't get on the floor. Just a thought, guys, just a thought. We can make the difference. Not just watching them build a tower out of Legos, but building it with them. Yeah.
I have a comment from Doris.
Okay.
She switched
I will. I'm having to
There
go
we go.
back and forth between
Yeah.
42 little tabs.
Dar says maybe for some people, but certainly not me. I use social media to be in touch with friends and family every day. Don't feel ripped apart, feel more connected. And my observation is like Doris's, and I'll turn that off. I understand what I keep up with the family that way, but I'm finding that more and more people, rather than doing good research or good searching, they're putting their questions on Facebook. So I believe that social media for us in our vertical, it's making us less efficient with our ability to search.
So we become quick click genealogists.
Yes, and how many times you see a post on any genealogy Facebook group that says, "I've searched this page or searched this website and can't find this question. I'm sorry if this question's been asked before, but I searched it, I couldn't find it," and it drives me crazy. That to me is an indication that we are unlearning our ability to search. Well, using the websites that we need to be searching for, and Facebook is not one of them. The searching to this may just be my experience, but
well, I hear you. I see a lot of posts that we disallow for Dear Myrtle, or for my Facebook group, or for the Organized Genealogist Facebook group, where people will say, yeah, I'm sure this question has been asked before. They don't even bother to use the search option.
And they certainly aren't looking at the library of files that we have.
I know. Yeah. It's pinned. The link to it is pinned in the welcome message. Oh, Hillary, what have you got to tell me here?
Yeah. When I first joined Facebook, I wasn't going to join things like Facebook, but when I first joined it, it was so I could keep in contact with my cousins over in the US. But I now find that I'm using it quite a lot to have conversations with lots of my genealogy friends, which are across the world. You know, we've got friends in Australia and I've also got a lot of you in the US and that. So it's actually sort of, I'm having conversations with people that I would not be able to do if in a face-to-face manner most of the time.
I absolutely agree with. I absolutely agree with you.
It's a way to reach out,
but that's not my point.
Yeah, it's a multifaceted thing. There's some good, some bad. Okay, Tina.
Tina says I connect with my cousin in the UK every day, and that's, I believe, is a great use for social media, whatever your social media platform is.
Well, and it helped me when I knew about John and his leg and all that he went through, and then he's barely walking on his own, and then Lorna goes to the hospital. So it's like, I don't know if y'all believe in prayer chains, but I do. I think that prayer makes a difference, and it's important that we keep up with each other. I mean, John's my friend. He knows that I love his bow ties. Okay, what does Cheryl have to say?
I think it is making those people lazy and expecting others to do their work for them.
Oh, yes.
And Maria says, social media is like the Force. It is powerful and can be used for good or the dark side. It is a choice. With a great power come great responsibility.
Cool.
And Doris
Maria's
says,
my neighbor, the one I'm always talking about. She ought to get on the panel one of these days. Go ahead.
Doris says, when I reach out and ask for help after I've searched for an obituary that I can't find, I ask them where they found it so I can use it the next time.
Well, Doris does a bit of research to help adopted individuals find their birth parents by doing DNA work with them, and that kind of communication is essential. Another thing, Doris, that I do is, I don't know anything about Czech research, and distinguishing that from the ethnic Germans that went to Bohemia, because they're all intermingled over in this one little part of the face of the earth. So to get the lay of the land from other researchers who are doing Czech research, I belong to a Czech genealogy group on Facebook. Now, I'm not asking people to do the research for me. I'm hearing about their research experiences, how record sets were kept, so that I can distinguish, because this is all new territory for old Myrt since last summer, since August, so it's new kind of research. I can distinguish the Czech type research and culture versus the ethnic Germans to Bohemia record sets and culture, etc. Okay, Russ.
Betty Lou says, I use Facebook to keep in touch with people and to have conversations on genealogy, and also to connect with people with my rare diseases. And absolutely.
That Betty Lou, that brings up another point. One of the first groups I got into in Second Life, where I created a slender blonde avatar, and one of the first groups I got into here on Facebook was for caregiving that I was doing, because I had two people in wheelchairs, our beloved stepmother and my dad in his electric Jazzy, cutting racing stripes as he's down the hallway as he wasn't too good at steering it, but I digress. Yeah, it can be a good thing, as Maria says. Yeah, Bill. Can't hear you, Russ.
I'm in contact with everybody with relatives in Ohio, Kentucky, New Hampshire that I haven't heard from in years before Facebook. And let's see. Marion says, how do you respond to those questions like, I'm sure it has been answered somewhere, refer them to a likely website?
Well, in my case, Marion, in a Facebook group with newbies and people who've been there forever, we don't allow the question to go forward. It's in our guidelines to use the search option, and periodically, about once a month or so, maybe less frequently, I do an admin post reminding them that on Facebook you have a search option in the groups, and it works pretty well. Sort of, usually.
And don't forget that look at the files that the groups may have. There's a link at the top, and there's a link to many of the Facebook groups have files to look at. And read the description. And what you hit the Facebook group, you're only seeing part of the description. You need to look at the whole description for the group, request to join, and if there's questions, answer the questions, because the group put those questions out for a reason. And by the way, it's made it easier for the
sorry, there we go. Yeah.
It's making easier for this group, by the way, to administer the people who want to join the group, as long as they have questions to ask, and we're presented with data a little differently now than when we took over this group. It makes it very easy to.
Yes.
But you got to read the full description. I think if you show that.
All right. So there's a couple of things. Here's the search box up here. So I could type for file folders and look for that. It would help if I spelled it correctly. Or folder system. I could click. I don't know if I have any posts on that topic. Yes. How do you organize your files and folders? I did that by using this. The box is now moved here. Can you see that, Russ?
Yep. The magic is that icon. It looks like a
magnifying glass.
Magnifying glass. Wherever
it's getting bad when we can finish each other's sentences, huh? All right, pinned at the top, pin post. Now it looks a little different when you use your phone, and I use my iOS, excuse me, most of the time when I'm on Facebook. Excuse me. And it is welcome to new members. Please read the FAQ, standard operating procedures, for this group before posting. Membership in this group means you will abide by these guidelines. And there's the link to the post within the group that has the standard operating procedures. Then I talk about off topic. I talk about Cousin Russ's, and I don't talk. I'm saying this was created beforehand by Sue Peterson, the one who founded the Organized Genealogist group. And I've had permission to now go in and modify it. This is a link to Cousin Russ's ingenious Organized Genealogist file listings. Yes, over here on the side, there is this button for discussion, members, events, videos, photos, files. But Cousin Russ organized it. He made a Google Sheet. There we go. Actually, this is a Google Doc, isn't it?
It's a Google Doc with links to, it's a table of contents with links to the Google Sheets.
Yeah, I wish everybody did this. Part of why we did this was when we were looking in the file directory, weren't there like 350 files?
Something like that.
It was amazing. And they were all in the order people had submitted them, not categorized like this. So if we're looking at folders, and that's our question, I'll click there. We're now taken to a Google Sheet. Theoretically, it's slowly coming in. Oh, great. Now my internet's going to be thrillingly compromised today. Anyway, it comes up with a link to several posts where people have uploaded a file describing how they organize their folders. There's extraction forms in here. We also had to be careful, didn't we, Cousin Russ? Because a few people had taken forms that had a copyright statement on them, and uploaded them, and that would be against copyright. So, of course, we didn't do that. Okay. So whatever you do, when you join a Facebook group, don't start posting right away. See what the lay of the land is, you know, kind of pay attention there. Also, we give them the link, and she now has over 11,000 entries in her listing. This is Catherine Wilson's genealogy on Facebook listing. Let me give you this link, Cousin Russ, because this is important. Sorry, close your eyes, everybody. I guess I just put it in the regular chat. Sorry. Yeah, if you want to find a group or a page that has to do with genealogy, go for it. Look at that list. She updates it periodically. She used to upload it as a file. And then I suggested she make it a page so people not on Facebook might look. And okay, so let's go to Dave and talk about issues where security is concerned. Dave, what's happening?
There's been a rash of this over the past several weeks, and I'm terribly suspicious of it, and some people think I'm nuts. But people like to respond to questionnaires, and most of it is clickbait. But the questions I've been seeing are, you know, what was the make of your first car? What street did you live on when you were a kid? What school did you go to? These are all questions that are asked in the security profiles for your bank accounts and anything else financial, as far as I can see. So I saw those as and have not responded to any of them. I don't respond to many of those things anyway, but there's millions of people that are revealing that information, and I've had responses. Well, who's going to collect all that? Well, I'll tell you what, we've been on the moon since 1969. There's not going to be much problem collecting that information. Not tomorrow, not next week, but 6 months from now, somebody could find you and use the data that they mined from Facebook and answer your security questions.
Well, I agree with you, Dave, because one of the things I saw was, how old were you in 1972 if you were born yet?
Exactly.
I mean, you know, so like that's some kind of birth, I mean, that's ridiculous. I don't mind, you know, what's your favorite movie?
Right.
And if it's just on Facebook, but not where I click to go to another site to find out what my IQ is.
The questions are crafted very, ingeniously in most cases, and we innocently answer those questions. But it's driving me crazy. Karen tried to buy something online yesterday, and her debit card got blocked with a fraud alert for just, I don't know what she bought. I probably bought something for the grandkids for Christmas, but innocently enough, and she got blocked.
Well, you know, I got to tell you, Dave, when I saw the pancake bot, I thought, if this is for real, I'll be surprised. I never click on advertisements in Facebook.
Right.
I opened a web browser. I went to Amazon and I searched for pancake bot. Sure enough, it was legit. I don't know pancakebot.com. I didn't, you know. I'm not going to go to some website I never heard of, and I'm not a scaredy cat, but
And
I'm
if you
a
click,
reasonable person.
if you click through Facebook, you're going to see ads for whatever you went to look at for the next 6 months. They'll keep throwing them at you.
It
It just
happens
makes you
anyway.
crazy.
I could look
Well,
on my
yeah,
phone.
but you can, there's strategies to avoid those kinds of things.
Yes.
But in terms of internet security, just be so careful.
All right. So it's reasonable to open up another web browser and to do a Google search or go directly to Amazon. If I did a Google search, it would have come up with a website. Again, a website I didn't know of. It seemed like an incredulous thing that they would have invented a something that instead of inkjet, they're throwing pancake batter on a griddle, but it works, and I love it.
And two other quick things. I've been getting calls from allegedly from Microsoft, and I've been getting calls allegedly from Dell that my machine has been putting out error messages and we need to help you clean it up. I don't hear the whole sentence because I can't hang up fast enough.
There's an answer. There's an answer to that, Dave.
Yes.
I don't have access to the internet.
What's that?
Yeah.
The answer to the question is, I'm sorry, I'm not online.
Oh,
my computer doesn't have access to the internet.
I don't even open my mouth. I don't see a word. And that's a clever thing to do too, Russ. I just hang up. I don't respond.
It's actually good not what you said, Russ, was reasonable, but if you say yes, it gets recorded and then you bought something. And it's an issue that way. All right, we got a bunch of comments from the community and of all different types. Let's bring those in, Cousin Russ. And then we're going to go switch and talk with Tony for a bit. You're muted, dear.
Up front, Betty Lou put a link of something that was new to her. It's called Don's List. I went to the link because I was sitting here waiting for us to start. It's a new list to Betty Lou, and I went there because I trust her. And I looked around. When you're invited to a list like this, and Don's list was new to me as well, but what I looked for was the last time it was updated. The website was last updated in July 2012.
Okay.
So when you, and this is on the same on the same topic, when you go to a website that's new to you, look around and look for when it was the last, especially in our vertical, when was the last time it was updated? And this particular one was the last updated 2012. So
okay.
Then Betty Lou has another one. I'm just pulling in the comments that were there. Genealogy tip posted today. My man asking his wife, "Do you know what the census taker said?" Wife's reply was, "No, I just made up answers to get rid of them." I think that's great.
It sounds like some of the entries I've seen.
Yeah. Dara says, I think we're back on Facebook. When I reach out and ask for help after a search on, I already brought that one in here. Let me get to Tammy's. I did a 3-hour research project last night per request via Iowa Facebook page. I did it because I'm practicing researching a question and writing a report within those 3-hour time block. That's a great exercise, actually.
It is, but that person does not know how wonderful you are, Tammy. I know how wonderful you are. I've seen your homework, what you've turned in our previous study group. Thank you. Oh, man.
Jenny says Facebook is a tool in my genealogy toolbox, sharing research back and forth with people I would never have a chance to meet otherwise. Absolutely.
Okay.
And
yeah, let's catch them all up.
Tammy says, Mary, I'm practicing my ICAP Gen certification test. It is a really good practice for time management. Deb says it is also how they get passwords. That must be talking about Dave's comment. Marion says, when I was in college, I used to be surprised by how much I could achieve in an hour on a lab report or homework when I had it to be finished on time to meet my friends for beer.
I would say a soda, but yes, I get you, Marion. I love it.
Yvonne says, I speak to them in French, puzzles them every time.
That's a good idea.
And from across the pond, Sue says, for anyone considering starting a Facebook presence for their society, an excellent webinar by Jean Baldwin. Baldwin.
All right, let me pull that one up.
I can't read it. I can't read it. I can't read
okay. Here it is, the social media manager role in today's society, meaning genealogy society. Interesting that FGS decided to do this and put it up on Vimeo. Okay, I'll get back to you. Got to switch the camera. There you go.
Sue, thank you for putting the link in there.
Yes.
Joanne says, to Dave, thanks for the warning. Read those calls from Microsoft to Dell. We've stopped answering the phone. If the number isn't on our contact list, do not call back if they left a message.
Yeah, I've had to do this, Joanne. As far as calling back, I do have a bank. Well, of course I have a bank. But I have an old bank account. I'm trying to not, yeah. And I received a notice in the mail that the account had been turned over to I think there's like $50 in it, but I haven't added anything to it since Mr. Myrt and I consolidated to this home. It's about 5 years now. And so the $50 went to the state of Utah. Well, I received a phone message from somebody claiming to be at the bank, wanting to help me reactivate my account. And I did not call that number. I went to the bank's website, got their number, which was different, and talked to them. They don't do that. That was a scammer who had taken the list of unclaimed properties, was working through it. A nefarious person. Okay, Randy, what do you do? Tell
Randy?
them.
I just tell them I just had my windows cleaned and now I can see the sunset and the kids playing outside. And
I love it. I love it. So, Randy.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right, Randy, are the fires affecting you at all? Those terrible, terrible fires?
We're 50 miles away from the one that was in San Diego, which didn't kill anybody. It did kill 46 horses.
Oh.
Horse training facility in Bonsall had, I don't know, 500 horses and 46 died. They couldn't get them all out of the barns. Then they were running free. You probably saw the videos of it.
Yeah.
You know, that fire burned 4,000 acres in like 12 hours and then kind of stalled because the winds died. And so it's nothing like the Thomas fire up in Ventura and now into Santa Barbara. It's burned into Santa Barbara County, going over 200,000 acres.
Yeah, it's just horrible. I saw that shot of I think it's a 405 going south. Yeah, that's my stepmother's neck of the woods. I've been there.
Yeah, and that was just a
horrible.
morning. That was just a morning thing, and you know, 50 acres or something like that, and some big houses, and snarled everything for a full day.
Yeah, it's just
Yep.
absolutely devastating. Okay, Cousin Russ, you got some more comments, and we'll get back to Tony here.
Betty Lou says, my brother just posted a link that said there is a scam where the phone number looks like a US number, but is international number, and they tend to ring once and hang up and hope that you call back and charge you per minute. And just before we started here, my phone number rang with a local telephone number, but the caller was not local because they're able to present on your caller ID a local telephone number, and they are not local. The good thing is my phone service is online, and it blocks 95% of those scammer calls. My phone rings once, I see that it's rang, and it goes away, and my TV has the caller ID, so I can see it when it rings, but the phone doesn't ring. I know that my internet service provider blocked that call from getting to me.
I have the same thing as Russ. It's blocked to everyone except a couple of family members and a couple of close friends. Maybe 10 people in total can get through. But I leave a voicemail message out there. If you do get through, my voicemail message will say this: thanks for calling. We're not using this line anymore. But if you know us, just call us on our cell phone numbers. Which I don't leave. I don't tell them the cell phone.
Yeah.
But he's right too. I get phone calls from my area code with the exchange from my cell phone number, and you have to think quick and say, wait a minute, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, like maybe you're expecting a call from somebody in your neighborhood about the family or about the neighborhood party, and you're thinking, oh, I heard she got a new phone number. A new cell phone. Maybe that's the new number, and then it's one of those scammers. So just hang up. Don't try to say sorry or anything else or yes or no. Yeah. All right. Let's switch gears now. Tony, I asked you to come this morning because I want to install the SVG family tree generator in a blog post. So normally we go to a website and download a file, an executable file. And in your case, you've chosen to design this program. And Hillary, would you get your would you get a blog post up that shows what it looks like embedded? Since I can't do it, I've only got one screen this morning. Anyway, the point of this is to have a blog with something embedded in it that's very dynamic. Can you explain what that something is that we're going to be embedding?
Sorry, was that directed to me or to Hillary?
That's you. That's you, Tony. Sorry. I was speaking too quickly.
If I can just comment on why it's in Dropbox, it does require an installation because it uses components, Microsoft components. So if I just downloaded the executable, it probably wouldn't run on most systems because some of those components are optional. So it has to actually do a full install and have it registered so that you can do an uninstall. So it's a normal procedure to go through.
Well, we have previously looked at this. Let me put the camera on Hillary. Thanks, Hillary, for jumping in and helping. So you have an ordinary blog post. Well, you don't do ordinary blog posts. Scroll up to the top so we can see what you've already got some text there. This was from our GenDoc study group. And now we're going to see that you were discussing things in chapter 2, and the embed part is this that's kind of gray with a little slider bar on the side. Show us what happens when you click on a box. I can't hear you, dear.
Oh. Yeah, when you click on a box, the bit underneath it opens with a bit more information in it for that particular one that you've clicked on. So if I go to that one.
And so that paragraph or a couple of sentences could be whatever we elect to put there, right, Tony?
Yes, you could put images in there. You could put links to blog posts that you've written about those people, scans of documents. There's anything you can represent in HTML, basically.
So let's put this from the perspective of a researcher. Hillary, when we write blog posts, our focus might be the whole family unit of Joseph Buckle and Elizabeth Witt and their 3 sons, and not the particulars on any one son. But by our having done this, if you click on one of them, you're going to get some more information, which would help someone who comes to your blog about the Buckles and the Witt family, and and your descendant line might be Henry's side. Which son do y'all descend from, Hillary?
This one.
Albert. Okay.
Yeah.
So, but let's suppose somebody who's a descendant of Henry came, and they're not quite sure because they know about Henry and Albert, but they don't know the brother Leonard, and they don't know the parents. So they're going to be exploring. Now, when you wrote your blog post, let's imagine that the focus was the family unit, but they want to know more about Henry. So when you click on Henry, then there may be more information about him that they could relate to and say, yes, this is my Henry. And I now see him in the context of a third child in the family and the parents. And this is a way of putting discursive notes in there that are not, it's useful, but maybe not germane to your conversation up above in your blog post. Does that make sense? What am I trying to say, Hillary?
Yeah, you're giving a bit more information about these people for those that are interested. If you're my discussion was something else, but now somebody can actually see what's going on as a diagram, and sometimes some people prefer the visual things.
Yes. So. That's a good point, is that some people relate to things better visually. All right, so now, Tony, we're back to you.
Okay.
If she had not clicked on a box and she first came into this, does that little box go away? Does it only appear once she's clicked?
It only appears once she's clicked, and if you control click those things, you can pop them down again.
Okay, so do you control click in the descendant box or the box that's the discursive notes?
Or the tree box. In fact, any of them, if you control click them, yeah.
Okay.
And then the circle to get rid of the family.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So it's pretty interactive and a lot of fun. And until this goes totally viral, I would recommend a little note in the blog that says, click on the boxes and see what the heck happens. Because it's really very creative. Now, we visited this before where we were looking at your blog post about this. You've written several, and we've been to Hillary's before, but and you have another example. I can't click on it and control the camera as well. But Tony, let us look at my page. Everybody close your eyes for a second because I'm in a screen share and it's going to go crazy. All right, there's social media. Close all that. Where is it? Okay, here's my folder. And I know you, and so you shared this Dropbox folder and gave me an invitation. So I have install, modify, setup LST, SVG installation, which is a PDF document, and something about an SVG utility.
That's the user guide.
Okay, and a cabinet file called SVG, then Ashby tree astling, tree image, tree pedigree, uninstall, and various versions. And I noticed that you had to change something this morning. What happened? Because one of these is the date of 12/11. Yeah.
It's one of those hiccups that you really hate as a software developer. I tested it on one system, everything's fine.
Yeah.
I released it, then moved it to a different version of Windows, and it behaved slightly differently. So I had to go back, find a magic spell that worked on both, and then release a quick maintenance update.
All right.
So if I was a big organization, I'd have my own QA department. But
quality assurance department, like my remote offices at Amazon.com. I hear you. Okay, so I'm looking at the PDF file because it has some great illustrations in here. So this is going to generate a family tree. And Hillary, would you go get the link to the Facebook group so that people could possibly join it? Because otherwise Tony's not going to be able to communicate with these folks that are viewing this who might want to embed this in their blog posts. Okay. So the tree itself is just a text file, right?
That's a description of the tree.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then a little bit about now SVG is tell me what SVG, scalable vector graphics. Did you invent that?
No, that's a web technology. It's very similar to HTML, but it's for drawing graphics, lines, circles, squares, complicated graphics.
So what you did was you took this utility program and merged it with your plan for creating a tree. And so we have quick start. That's one of your subcategories. Here's the main form that we will be using. And basically, tell me about this screen.
You've got a little box, a little box at the top with the file name that you've selected. That encompasses the description of the tree. Yeah.
Yes.
The big box underneath a general progress window, so that if something goes wrong, you can actually backtrack to see if there were any messages, what was loaded when it was loaded. And then you've got the buttons that actually do the work down the right-hand side.
Yes, you could have different ones. You could change the design, etc. Okay, now we'll go through. So tell me what browse does.
Browse will look at the files on your disk and allow you to pick one of these tree definition files and load it up.
Okay, so
that's why there are samples in the kit.
So I could have made a tree that was on my mother's side of the family for 2 or 3 generations for one blog post. And then I could have created something on my dad's Mormon pioneer ancestors for another blog post. I can see why you'd want to have different parts of your tree showing up in a blog post. Okay, what is design? Do we get to choose colors there or what?
Design is the graphical designer. In fact, that's where most of the effort went. I wanted to give a very touchy-feely experience, so that you use the mouse a lot more than just typing stuff into fields.
Okay, and
so to lay the tree out, you can drag the boxes around and the lines.
Yes, so like I'm imagining that when Hillary did that with the 3 sons, she probably put them in birth order left to right, with the left-hand brother being the oldest. Is that true, Hillary?
Yeah.
Okay, which is good if you're used to reading from left to right. If you are from a nationality or a religious organization where you're reading from the right from the right to the left, yeah, we can adjust, but we get that. I could have clicked on the box to see the birth information. Okay, edit's probably where I'd spend a lot of time because I do typos all the time. And process is what makes it go forward and create the code so I can embed it? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, I could do with a little whiteboard to explain to people. The file it's manipulating is just a text file. In fact, if you hit the...
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you wanted to do the whiteboard. I will go back and find the file.
I can screen share. Yeah, that's not a problem.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yes, perfect. Sorry, guys, about the picture-in-picture. I am going to be thrilled to figure out how to get my other two monitors working. Okay, so we're...
Is this visible?
Yes, it is.
So there's nothing loaded at the moment. If I use the browse button, I'll just pick one of these samples, and I think I'll go for the Ashby one first.
Mm-hmm.
The design button, that will actually lay out the boxes according to that specification.
And you can drag and drop them as you wish.
Yeah, I can move these around. So that's the nice bit for laying stuff out.
All right, how did you get the text in here?
If you edit one of these, let's edit this guy.
You right-clicked and there was the edit option. Okay.
Yeah. Right. Then you can give it an image, and there are several panels down here that the notes tab is for biographical notes and historical notes. So that's where you could put images as well. Tooltips tab, that's for much briefer notes. That's what you would want to see if you just hover over that box.
Hover text, okay.
Yeah, okay. And then the next two are a little bit more heavy duty. I won't bother.
So we won't go
confusing.
There. All right, I like the option with tentative. I always say that wrong.
Oh, the tentative parenthesis. If I tick that, let's see what happens and come out of there. In fact, he's not connected to anybody, so that was a waste of time. Let me pick another person.
Yeah.
Tick the tentative.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the link to the parent is dashed. It's just an indication that you're not quite sure whether he's a descendant of that coupling.
Okay, so it seems to me that SVG was created so you could design some kind of an org chart. But in our case, it's a family descendancy chart. That's the application of it. You decided to tweak it with this interface that you just showed us, where we can add information on the individual. How many characters can fit in the field for describing him? We've seen in Hillary's case a sentence or two.
You mean the caption that's sitting in the box, or
no,
the
when you click on it and the other thing comes up, the notes option? How big is that field? Yeah.
There's no specific limit there. It will actually put scroll bars on.
Oh, okay.
And in fact, this is a good example because you can see that it's HTML. There are some links there. But this little box at the bottom there, the toolbar, that's little edit toolbar designed to help people who don't know HTML very well. And the last one of the buttons there is actually a toggle to show what it would look like in your browser.
Okay, cool.
So
wonderful.
That's the format. And if I toggle it back, you carry on editing.
Can you toggle it on again? Because I want to mention something here.
Right. Yeah.
So let's suppose that in Hillary's case, she's written her blog and embedded this tree. And when you click on the box, she could have links to many articles that she's written, or a book over on, a link to a book over in Google Books about the same guy, to really end up helping that researcher who's looking for the other brother, not the one she descends through, whatever it is she happens to have run across. And these things are easily found because we keep them in notes for events in our family tree software, desktop software. Okay, we got a question. Randy, jump in here. What was your question?
Oh, just wondering how big a tree you could put in. It looks like you have to type it in yourself, of course.
Okay, Tony?
at the moment you type it in. If we wind this back, my goal was to actually put parts of a family tree into a document because I've got several blog posts where I wanted to just have a little picture so you could visualize the relationships without having to read all the text.
Mm-hmm.
So it was never envisaged that there would be massive family trees in there.
There's no automatic way to do it, huh?
Well,
Colin,
Colin's working on something. I just heard about this fellow named Colin. Tell us about him. He's watching.
Yeah, Colin Spencer. He's written a bit of code, a bit of completely separate code that will load up a GEDCOM file and spit out the text that my utility loads.
Okay.
Now, if I can just show you what that looks like, if I hit this edit button. Yeah, that's fine. It's just warning me that I've come out of the graphics designer without saving anything. That's fine.
Okay.
This is my format. All this does is just describe the layout of those boxes and all the biographical notes.
All right. So we trust you on this coding stuff. I did do coding in the olden days for AOL, but no. And I did use web page design that way too.
This button, which is something you asked me about 15 minutes ago.
I know.
That takes that and it generates either HTML or SVG or a combination of the two. And now I can view that in the browser. The version that you could embed in a blog, and if I hover over one of these, let me find one that's got some.
I like the graphics.
Sorry, in this version, it's the information panel is the same as Hillary was displaying. If I come out of that and go back into the utility, the options on there, just going back into the designer, on the options menu there on the top line, I can edit the settings. Now you can see I haven't actually got the tooltips checked. That's the middle set of checkboxes there.
Yes.
And I'll also have rounded corners on the boxes, just to change the presentation a little.
Okay.
And now I can come out of there, hit process again, and view it in the browser. So now I've got
it's much more friendly with the rounded corners. Okay, but where do we get the code so that I can embed it in my blog?
Right, now that was treeashby.html. So if we go back to the directory where all the
okay,
files.
so when it generates this, it creates that file.html that we can get in Notepad. So we have to go back. You know, it's good we started with the Dropbox folder. We had to go back to the Dropbox folder. All of that code, which looks like gobbledygook.
It is.
It is. Well, I used to do HTML coding before we got what you see is what you get programs. So I know. So it actually puts it in the folder, and I right-click, tell it to open that file in Notepad.
In fact, one of the progress lines there says it's created the output file.
It's not that hard to use, guys. This is doable. Wow.
I've tried to include two types of user because there is a straight line version of this where you can move the boxes around, put some text in, generate the output and to a blog post. But there's also quite an advanced line as well where you can add your extra buttons on there and put your own functionality on the buttons. So you can use it as a staging post to something else. You can actually build your own application.
Okay, I'm leaving that to you. You know, I love you, Tony.
The buttons, if that's
okay.
If go back into the designer, options, edit settings. There's an option there for put a little button in the top right of every box. Again, come out and
generate or process. I mean, yeah. Now view. It processes very quickly. Okay, so the girls are red and the boys are blue. Is that it? As far as that button. Now let's see what the button does.
Oh, sorry, that's because I haven't
Nothing in notes.
put it into the.
Yeah.
Yep. So if I take something I've prepared earlier.
Okay.
I haven't seen that.
So I can see doing this until Colin gets the JEDCOM generator working. I can see having, I had envisioned my 3 screens as I normally have, and just either copying and pasting things from notes for an ancestor in your notes field here, and typing in the name and for the caption. Is the key generated automatically? That's the first field on this screen?
You've got control over the key.
Okay.
When it comes from Colin's software, then it will use the same key or identifier that JEDCOM uses.
All right, so Colin has a comment here. Let's bring this in. He's giving us an update as to where he is in his progress.
Colin says, I have sorted the issue with a self-hosted WordPress site, but I don't believe that there is a way to do it on WordPress.com. And then he says, JEDCOM generator is working fine, and I updated it today.
Cool. So, Colin, can you give us the link so that we can get through to you for the JEDCOM generator, please? And Hillary, you found the link to the Facebook group. Let me show. Is this the best way for people to get through to you, Tony? Let me share my screen here. Sorry. Close your eyes, guys, for a second. What a day. Okay. So this is the Facebook group, and I've been following this. You know, I haven't actually embedded one yet, but I've been following it and very intrigued by it. And so this is the Facebook group for SVG. I think one of the posts here, here's the original description. Here's the link to the Dropbox folder. Now, Bill West, I can honestly see you doing this. We use our blogs for cousin bait, and I see this as very doable, particularly if the first time or two that you create something, you come back to this archived version of this Hangout. Linda's asking to join. Hi, Linda will definitely be doing this because in playing the rewind of this, the Redux, you can pause it and then go do that part and then play it to find out about the next part as Tony has described it for us. So here is his blog post about interactive trees and blogs using SGV. I keep trying to say F at the beginning of that. And I think that the fact that we can't use it on WordPress.com, which is the freebie version, where they're the ones that host it, as opposed to where it's on our own domain and we're using WordPress.org. I think that's allowable, but let me ask you, Colin and Tony, does this work on a blogspot.com blogger account? Meaning
it does.
It does. So it works on both. You know, my old Dear Myrtle blog is a blogger blog, but it looks like it's at dearmyrtle.com. And somebody needs to mute themselves, whoever that is, darling. Okay, and then here's the information from Colin. He's updated it 2 hours ago. It says, boy, we're getting cutting edge technology here. And yeah, thank you guys. This is awesome technology. I think Sue Adams had been working with you. Had she not? Okay, close your eyes. I'm going to switch gears here. Had she not been working with you as well? Let's see what Sue has to say.
Yeah,
this minute.
With the that's pop in the background.
Okay. Yeah, so Sue, that's your answer is it's just not going to work on a .com WordPress blog. And you know what? Sometimes we unfortunately get what we pay for. I'm sorry, but I know Sue has worked with you on this. Okay, that's neither here nor there. All right. How do you feel about this, Russ? Talk to me about this.
Well, I like the idea that, because we saw it before, is how Hillary did it, and to expand on it, I think there's you mentioned earlier that it would be a great idea if somebody, or when you do that blog post, that you have something at the top that sticks out that says this is an interactive or something to the fact to click around. Now, people click around, but I think this is going to be a new experience because it is leading technology, and I'm certainly glad that Tony is out there doing it. And I believe I've seen at least one or two conversations with Elizabeth Schoen Mills on this topic, which is interesting. But it's new technology for us, but I think it's getting at the younger generation, because they're more likely, I think, to click around and see what can be done, and to be able to bring a younger generation into a more interactive environment using the tool that you've developed for us, Tony.
I totally love it. I agree. Yeah. Hillary, was it hard?
I actually found it quite easy to do once I'd got the hang of actually setting the thing up properly in the first place. It was it wasn't difficult to create anything like that at all. I haven't had the time to catch up with some of the updates that Tony's done. So I'm hoping that even if it's might be Christmas before I do it, but I'm hoping that Christmas or New Year I might get some time to actually catch up with what he's been doing.
We're taking a break because after Wednesday night there's no more hangouts until the first of the year. Tony, what's your tell me about how many users you have thus far, things like that. Just talk to me.
There's about 30 people have asked for access to the Dropbox folder. And that's why I decided to set up the Facebook group. I should have done that right at the outset. I was expecting a few more, but as somebody told me, if I'd have charged $100 a time, I probably would have had 10 times as many.
Because it's a free utility, is what you're saying.
Yeah, there's a belief that you don't get anything for free.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
but it is leading. It is leading to me. It's leading technology in our vertical, and I still think that the younger generation are going to be interested in the presentation and telling the story easier.
Yeah.
So
a few moments ago, I said that I wanted to originally to generate images I could put inside a blog, and ones that I could navigate around and just basically get those pop-up information panels. The recent enhancements I put in there are because I want to build an application on top of this. So rather than use an online tree, I can actually put a web page out there where I can do things on the tree and go to various places, pop up other pages. So it's using the tree as an interface to a different application. That's why I've put in all the support for buttons.
This is stuff I can relate to. That we have a graphical interface to make it easier for people to get from the text and graphics we might have put in a blog post to the interactivity and the design of a descendancy chart. It could be designed in it could be a flow chart that goes from left to right instead of top down, because it's all where you put those boxes, isn't it? And draw the lines.
Well, not even that. Once you've designed it, if you design a normal sort of top-down tree, it's a single checkbox to turn it on its side.
Oh,
it will do all the work for you.
Oh, okay. So I don't have to redesign it. All right.
Yeah.
I was just okay, let me pull up on my screen. Go ahead. Go ahead.
A point that I thought somebody was going to make earlier on, and it's sort of just drifted around it. all this stuff is actually searchable if it's in your blog or your web page, which isn't quite the same as having your tree in a database.
Oh, it's not
a
hidden.
direct
Yeah.
competitive,
Yeah.
not a direct competitor for an online tree, but it's an interesting alternative because all that text, all those associations is public. It can be searched by Google.
Oh, even though for us to look at it, you have to click on the ancestor box to see the little drop down part. That's intriguing, guys, because the more text you put in that box, the more likely people are to find your blog post, because who knows how they're looking on it. What if the guy has 5 nicknames, but your article isn't about his 5 nicknames? Your blog post could have been about the parent-child relationship and that you found the 3rd brother, but then for somebody to find it in the way, and arguably Google's the most relevant, biggest search engine out there. I didn't realize that. That's very powerful.
If you can see the last link that I posted, Colin just put a link to another example.
Okay, so I'm not getting the last link. All right.
Not the long one.
All right, so let me change the camera. Close your eyes for a second, guys, while we do picture-in-picture. It's so horrible with just one monitor. Ugh. Okay, so he's got an example. We are at Spencer's genealogy site. Very cool. All right, we'll use that. Give him that link, Cousin Russ. And also want to show you, Colin, you really should be on the panel. I hear you are Hangout capable. Get up here if you. Well, I'm sending you kudos anyway. So here is information about the JED to SVG. Convert Excel spreadsheets to JEDCOM files. Well, you got a bunch of stuff here. A Wordle surname list generator. And you have to go to the JED2 Wordle page to get it. Hey, thanks for sharing that link. I requested it, and you came through beautifully. Thank you. Anything else before we change our subject, Tony?
Not from me.
Okay.
Hillary had a question.
Okay, Hillary.
I just wondered if anybody's linked to anything other than a blog post in the text and that, because I was thinking probably could link to things like Google Docs or Google Sheets or something, because they've got a if you put them, that somebody can view with a link, whether you put that link in, I was just going to give it a try and see how it worked out.
Oh, in the notes part? Is that where you're thinking?
Yeah, in the notes part, because I've put links in there to other blog posts I've done, and I'm just wondering whether I can I might give a go and see if I can link it to a Google Doc or it
has a URL. Yeah, it has a shareable URL. Wow. Good thinking. Yeah. So interesting. Tony, thank you for always keeping my brain going. Right when I'm ready to retire. No, I'm not retiring. I can't. There's too much to learn. It's all cool. All right, folks. Well, our time is drawing nigh, and I would like to move the camera, so we're going to do picture-in-picture again. We're so good at that part. I want you to know that I've made a decision. We're planning to use Val Greenwood's book. One chapter a month in a study group. That is going, but I'm going to add this in another study group. As long as we're doing America, you're going to hate us that we're being so American-centric, but I can't help it. This is an interesting book. Do any of you have Albion Seed, 4 British Folkways in America? Excuse me. Didn't have a sneeze button.
I do, Pat.
So tell me about it, and why old Myrt. I mean, I think you can imagine why I want to use this book in a study group monthly. Kind of cool, isn't it?
It is very cool. They identified 4 different British folkways, and I can't remember exactly what they are. Obviously, Scots-Irish is one, and the Cavaliers in Virginia is another, and the New England Puritans and Separatists were a third.
And then we have the Quaker type.
And
yeah.
The Quaker middle Atlantic folks, yeah.
Yeah.
Folkways. There were other folkways. There was Dutch and German and French and whatever. And so the authors go into that in some detail and describe a lot of the characteristics that these people brought to the United States, the colonies, and imposed on us, and we have them today.
Yeah, one of the folkways, if you just took politics or government, up in New England they have a council, town council, and that's different from things and how they were handled in Virginia, the Cavaliers. Attitudes about marriage, attitudes about, well, actually how you design a town, lay out a town. Do we have large estates with a house in the middle, or do we have long, narrow pieces of property with a house at the front, along the riverfront? And they're tracing these back to specific places in England, including the design of homes. And it's fascinating. And I'm going to host this, in the other book, when we're dealing with Val Greenwood's book, we're going to do a fun new twist in that members of the panel will work in teams of 2 or 3 to present a chapter topic. But I'm going to host this one because it's going to be tricky how we do it without, we're going to want to draw our own maps and draw our own outlines to share, because we can't use what's in his book, but we can craft our own, particularly if we have any ancestral homesteads to, photos to share. This will be, it's just got to happen at the same time that we're doing Val Greenwood's work. And it's going to take us good couple of years to get through Val Greenwood's book. And so one of our other Wednesday morning study groups will be this book. Cousin Russ, when we're talking about genealogical.com, there's a 30% discount on one order, comp 3. And I would like we'll zoom in here. I'd like you guys to be aware, if you haven't heard it already, let's go to the author's last name, Greenwood. There we go. I had somebody say they wanted to participate in the study group, but they didn't want to buy the Researcher's Guide, the 4th edition. I know it's $49, guys, but this is essential for understanding the basics of how to do research in the Americas. Well, we better say American, meaning United States of America, because it doesn't include Canada that I know of. I'll have to look. This is sort of like beginning gosh, Thomas McKenty's in the index. Who knew? We'll have to, and Legacy Software. Yeah, they definitely have updated this book. Public land states, private land states, those are the kinds of things we're going to be learning about. So it's like a beginning genealogy primer as well. So when we couple it with Albion Seed, another week each month, we're going to have a pretty good grasp on U.S. research. And I'm excited about doing it. So that's my new announcement. Let's see, what else do I have here? Oh, and you can get this with the 30% off code. Cousin Russ will share that with you. It's all good.
I looked in the index and did not look like there was a Canadian section.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I'm not expecting it. I don't know why I said that, but thank you. All right. I shared this link publicly on Facebook. You have got to see this cute commercial. Mr. Myrt had an allergy attack, got a little misty-eyed there when he saw it. I love good things like this, and I think you can appreciate it whether you celebrate Christmas or not. It was a good solution and a smart gentleman there. Where are we going next? This week, our Hangouts are going to be the last of the year. We're going to do Gen Doc 13. Forget that it says Wednesday, December 6th. We are going to be citing original online content. So if Hillary is creating a blog post, and it's the first time telling the story of the third brother, I'm being very dramatic here, Hillary, where she's telling a story that's been handed down through the family about how he was adopted out. Now he's been reunited. That could be original online content. And our last visit with Blaine Bettinger, open Q&A, will occur Wednesday night. And then we are off for the rest of December. Cousin Russ, where can we see the archive version of all of these things?
On Google Plus in the Dear Myrtle genealogy community, and that's where we want the conversation to continue, because that way everybody can see any comments that are made in the community based on the conversation that we're having even as we speak, and I will put the link to that in the community right now.
Thank you. So when we did Wacky Wednesday and Fräulein Schmidt was here, we did the same thing. We always post the graphic that announces what particular hangout it is. There's the link. And there was some discussion in the green room afterwards. So I made a post that you use the photo studio in a box. Cousin Russ, I've ordered one. They finally had it in stock, and I ordered one. But anyway, I added that because that was relating back to the discussion we had on Wacky Wednesday.
Don't close that down.
Okay, I won't.
Because there are more comments that I've added that has happened since it's an update for our conversation.
Yeah, I wanted people to see what your link was to your blog post with the photo studio. And yeah, it keeps going. Oh, what did you decide with the backside of a document that was blank, Russ?
Actually, I re-looked at some of the features in the software, and it was there. So I've actually I've scanned everything, but I'm now rescanning several of the pages that are great for doing transcriptions using transcribed, and but I've also figured out some other things using the software that actually gets me around the problem. I had more options that I hadn't tested out, so I made a couple of comments.
You had to read the manual. I love it.
I just had to read the options.
Okay. And so here is the link to the scanner you were using. So that was a question. And then something about the blank pages and the sleeves, and 10 more sleeves to go. By the way, you shared this hangout with the person you're doing this scanning project for. Tell us his reaction, Cousin Russ.
I loved it, and I will see him. I will see him Wednesday, and get his reaction. So he hadn't. I don't think he's watched one before, but he watched this one, and he said it was a good teaching aid, and I said, "You got our point."
I hear you. All right. Where's my mouse? It's somewhere. You know, I can go to the other screen with my mouse. But I cannot view it. Cousin Russ, Mr. Myrt suggested I unplug my other monitors and plug them back in. I don't know what's going on. Crazy day. Hopefully Windows will update again and I'll be happier. Thanks, guys, for bearing with me today. The fact that old Myrt had to do the picture-in-picture 432 times drove us all nuts. Tony, thanks for coming and showing us some more, and we went to the actual part about how to get access to the files and click that executable file. Hillary, thanks for jumping in at the last minute when I realized I couldn't share my screen and do a lot. Randy, as always, good to get your input. And Dave, we didn't actually talk about internet security as deeply as I'd like to because there's a couple of solutions, but let's keep this topic coming up, okay?
Sure.
All righty, thank you guys. All right, guess there's nothing left to say, folks, but I'm Dear Myrtle, your friend in genealogy. Happy family tree climbing. That's a wrap.